Welcome back to Modern Jubilees. I got a great question about the Americas, America, Mexico, and the Western world in Jubilees 8-9. Where would they fit in? So I made this map to go through what we do know. In chapter 8, verse 12, it begins the plots by saying, according to the writing, Shem's lot was the middle of the earth. The middle of the earth. For him to take as an inheritance for himself, that is Shem, for his sons, and for the generations for eternity. Then it gives the precise boundaries from the middle of the Rapha mountain range, goes to the Tina River, into the Me'at Sea, which is atop the Black Sea. North of this is Japheth's, south of this is Shem's. It extends till Karaso, which is the Rhino Kirura, Wadi El Arish, within the tongue that looks towards the south, continuing along the Great Sea, the Mediterranean, until the next tongue that looks towards the south, which is the Nile Delta. This is called the tongue of the Egyptian Sea, the Nile Delta. It turns south from there to the mouth of the Great Sea on the shore of the waters, up the Nile, essentially. It goes west to Ofra until it reaches the waters of the Gihon. So the boundary is the waters of the Gihon, which is the Nile, Blue Nile. And to the south of the waters of the Gihon, to the banks of this river, it extends eastward until it reaches Garden of Eden to its south. So those are the boundaries of Shem. And basically all I could do, let me skip ahead a bit, from the east of the entire land of Eden, extends, etc. He knew that a blessed lot and a blessing had come to Shem and the children of his generations forever. The second lot was for Ham, beyond the Gihon to the south, to the right of the garden. It extends toward the south to all the mountains of fire, so a ridge of volcanoes. Continues north to the borders of Gadir, continues to the coast of the sea waters, to the waters of the Great Sea, till it reaches the Gihon. Goes along the Gihon until it reaches to the right of the garden. This is a land for Ham that he will keep for himself and the children of his generations forever. So far we have boundaries. Within those boundaries, we have clues as to what we might think about the Western world. Let's finish it off. For Japheth, there is the third lot. Beyond the Tina River to the north, it extends to northeast to the whole region of Gog and to the country east of it. So this is the only reference to North America that we have. It extends to Gog and to the country northeast of it. What is the country northeast of it? The north actually does connect, more or less. And so the country east of it would be North America. Now, when I said North America, I didn't mean to include the United States. And it's important when studying these kinds of texts to understand that we don't come from a vacuum and that civilization has developed the way it did for reasons. And so the boundary between America and Canada, I would use as a clue, not definitive at all, but as a big clue, because it means something to someone. How did we come up with it? Unclear exactly, but there is a reason. And when you look at this boundary between Canada and America, it is very similarly placed to the approximate boundary line here that I made between the middle of the Rapha Mountains above the Tina River going east. There is some sort of parallel, but we'll come back to it. Okay, it turns around toward the north. It extends until it reaches the west of Farah. The islands to the west of Africa belong to Japheth. Returns toward Aferrag. Extends to the east to the waters of the Sea of Me'at, up to the Meores Sea, Sea of Azov, above the Black Sea. Extends to the region of the Tina River to the northeast, and it turns around to the north. This is the land chosen for Japheth and his sons as the lot of his inheritance for him to settle for himself and the children of his generations forever. 5 great islands and a great land in the north. It is cold. This is the most important verse for us to use for this question of understanding the Americas in Jubilees. How do they fit in? It is cold, and the land of Ham is hot. The land of Shem is neither hot nor cold, as it is a blend of cold and heat. And this, ladies and gentlemen, sirs and ma'ams, is the greatest clue that we have to understanding what to do with the Western world, this magical place that some of the children of Noah apparently discovered soon after the flood on their boats that they were now experts of. Now, in order to understand this idea that the land of Japheth is cold, the land of Ham is hot, and the land of Shem is neither hot nor cold, for it is a blend of cold and heat, I bring us this annual average temperature map. Here in this map, we see that the portion of Japheth maximum approaches some yellow, but is mostly blue, light blue, green. But it's important that then we look at Shem. Shem has a blend of cold and heat ranging from blue to green to yellow to red. And Ham's lot, has only red, orange, and yellow. Red, orange, and yellow. And so from here, let's see if we can include the rest of the map just based on this major final verse, which talks about the temperature situation in these plots. Now, at first, I wasn't sure about this line between Canada and America, but because Shem's lot does have some blue, it makes sense to include the precise line, essentially, between Canada and America. Works. It works well, it's well established, and so I don't see a reason to change it. I think it ended up that way for a reason, and it's good. The north is cold, and below the line in America, it is a blend of cold and heat. Now, in South America, we have an area that is hot, certainly hot. And so some of the country's borders do kind of squiggle down in this kind of line. And so I put this approximate line here because to the west of it, we do have cold or colder, right? Green is around 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And so that's not hot. There's nothing like that in Cham's plot in Africa. And so there should be nothing like that in South America either. It's not supposed to be a blend of cold and heat. It's supposed to be just heat. So we can make this line to the east of this cold ridge, and everything east of it can be for Cham, and everything west of it can be for Shem plus Mexico, America. Maximum, what I would say for South America is that since all of this down here is Japheth, this is one piece of ice, essentially, all belongs to Japheth, everything cold. But here in South America, we have a ridge that is green with some light yellow. The red up in the top of South America would have to be Shem because it is a blend of cold and heat. But the southernmost part, which goes down more south than Africa, Africa is Cham. South America has this blend here. So the eastern part, very hot, very Cham. The northern west part is a blend of cold and heat, very Shem. But the southern southwest part is pretty cold. And the temperatures here actually reflect Europe pretty well. And so potentially this could be an extension of Japheth's lot up into southwest South America. And that would make South America an extraordinary meeting point of all three of the sons, where once they've fought out and gone through all this history together in the Eastern world, now as they meet up in the Western world, South America is this blend of all three of the sons because of how low South America goes, to the point that it nearly touches Japheth's cold plots. Let's continue. All that is north of it is for Japheth. The islands, the great islands in the north, belong to Japheth. I'm sorry, President Trump, belong to Japheth here. This is Iceland. Iceland has some green in it, but generally they're all up north. Europe also has green in it. And so all these islands, great islands in the north, would also belong to Japheth. Middle of the earth would belong to Shem. Western portion of South America would belong to Shem. Eastern portion of South America would belong to Cham. Now going east, we also have Australia, which is hot. And so the heat would also belong to Cham. And that is what we know about the Aborigines. They came from Africa. And so Australia would be counted as Cham's portion. The islands here would be up for debate. They may be part of Cham's, they may be mixed. This whole area may be mixed, perhaps, but India is part of Shem's lot. And New Zealand does not fit the bill for Cham. So New Zealand would appear to be something else. All right, that is the general response to how the Americas and Mexico and the United States fit into the Jubilees boundaries of Chapter 8. Hope this was interesting. Hope you learned something. And I don't know the practical applications. I'd love to hear from you if you think there are any practical applications. But generally, Canada and Alaska would belong to Japheth. Shem's lot would be America, Mexico. Eastern South America would be Cham. Western South America would be Shem. And perhaps also Japheth. Australia would be Cham. The islands around it, unclear, because the islands in general belonged to either Japheth or Shem. Cham has no mentioned islands that belong to it in Jubilees, so it's unclear. Now, these boundaries are from a really long time ago, and they are forever, but at the same time, there is very much room for pacts to be made for agreements to be made where one says, hey, I want to swap this land with you, or I want to live here for a certain amount of time. Whatever we've gone through as humanity and civilization in terms of territory, the main idea is peace. God wants peace, the Bible wants peace, Abraham wants peace, we want peace. And if we really want peace, then we know that there must be boundaries in this world, in life. When you have kids fighting, you need boundaries, you need clear sets of rules. And so that's what this is. It's Noah saying, you guys want to quarrel with each other? Here, you go first base, you go second base, you go third base. You go to your room, you go to your room, you go to your room. You want to come together once in a while for a nice meeting in Constantinople or wherever else? Go right ahead. But you need to get along. That's what Noah wants. That's what Abraham wants. That's what we're going to see throughout Jubilees. Our forefathers and foremothers who want peace among their children, just as decent people around the world want peace today. So thank you for listening. Thank you for learning. Thank you for being decent in the comments and to one another. Thank you for your interest in truth and God's will. May we all be very blessed. Thank you for listening. This is Modern Jubilees, and we will see you next time.